I'm Ju-yoon and I'm here to talk about variables. Here's the thing, the benefit of processing is instead of, talking the talk and explaining in text, we just play with it and then we'll eventually learn what it means. So I'm gonna just write variables today. Let me make this a little bigger. Okay, here, so that you can see it better. Okay, variables today. Yay. So let's say we want to make 3 circles. We want to draw. And I'm going to write down with a pseudocode. Maybe similar to draw 3. Well, let's say ellipse. Ellipses. That is aligned horizontally. And then let's explain what the ellipse is about. The size of the ellipse are identical diameter, maybe 80 for now, 80 pixels. And then what other things we want to talk about? The size, the canvas is 480 by 120 for now. So 480 is x-axis and 120 is y-axis. I think this is simple enough to start. And then let's go to the sketch and then write a line of code. Now we learned in a previous class, we want to make the size, define the size of the canvas, 480 by 120, and we want to just keep things smooth. It doesn't matter whatever we draw it. And now we want to draw ellipse. So remember, ellipse has 4 values that we can put in. And the first value is the center of the x-axis. Let's say I want to say 75. And then the y-axis, we want to make the y all the same because it's identical. It's aligned horizontally. So y, let's say 60. And then the diameter, arbitrary number, oh no, we defined it as 80 pixels. So 80 and 80. Close the bracket. And now we probably have ellipse. Let's test this out. Oh, now we have ellipse. Now I want to draw 2 more circles here, ellipses here, but horizontally aligned. How do I do it? I'm gonna draw first all in the numbers. So all I need to do is to change the center of the x-axis. So I'm gonna add 100 to 75. So 175, and I'm going to change to XC, and then the y-axis is the same, the diameter should be the same, right? So I'm going to write 80 and another ellipse. I'm going to add another 100 to 175, so 275, and I'm going to keep the y-axis as 60 and diameter as 80 all together. Now let's run this code. Ta-da! Now I have 3 circles. That's great. Now what do I do here? Well, I want to maybe change this circle to a smaller circle, right? And I want to move it a little lower so that maybe we have more room on the top. How do I do it? Let me show you how I do it. First, okay, now move it to the center should be moved. So maybe I'll keep it as 90, 90, 90. I'm changing these 3 times. And then make the circle smaller. 40, 40, 40, 40, another 40. Okay, now let me run the code. Oh, yay! This is successful. That's great. However, can we make this process way more simpler? That's where the variables comes in, right? So the value that I was playing with were all integers, right? It didn't have any decimal value. And in processing, we have all these built-in language. So let's go back to, well, it's not really going back, but today, for the first time, now let's see the reference in the processing.org called integer. So in documentation reference data primitive, I found the name integer. We just abbreviate in int. So what is the integer? Data type for integers. Number without a decimal point. Integers can be as large as this value and as long as minus something like this. I'm not so good at reading the numbers, but eventually I'll get there. They are stored as 32 bytes of information. The first time a variable is written, it must be declared with a statement expressing its data type. Subsequent uses of this variable must not reference the data type because processing will think the variable is being declared again. Now, examples, we can copy this. Wow, this is a good function in the processing.org. So this is like declaring variable a of type integer, right? And then we can assign 23 to a, the value 23 to a. And we can also write it as in the one line. We can declare the variable b and then assign minus 256 to b. If we have 2 variable integer like a and b, we can also define c and use this mathematical things here. So that we can declare a variable a and set it as a type integer, right? And we can, by using 2 lines, we can assign a the value 23. We can also make this as a 1 line by just assigning the value minus 256 to b, like this. If there's like 2 integers, we can also do some like math here and declare a variable c as sum of a and b. Quite simple, right? So the syntax is integer and variable. Integer, variable, and assign the value. Parameters are we can make this variable and name it in different ways, but I strongly recommend when you make your own variables, you determine the name, the data type, and the value. The name is what you decide to call the variable, so it's up to you. I can make this as a cat, or I can make this as an apple, and that's up to me. But what I recommend you to do is to for you to figure out later in the code what the variable means. My method is to define the variable that is giving the hint of what it does. I'll explain that. I'll show you that later in the code. So now we are back to the IDE of processing. So how can we make this simpler? So I'm gonna define like integer, let's say y. Oh no, y, and assign that as, let's say 90, right? And change the line. Define another integer, d, that symbol that means diameter, and 40 here, right? Now, instead of having all these as a number value, I can make this as y, y, y. And here, instead of 40, I can make this as a d, d, oh, d, d, d. Let's see what happens. Yay, it's the same drawing, right? So if I want to change this circle and move this to somewhere else, like on the top, or make it larger, it will be way easier because look at this. By just changing this value, let's go back to where we started. I'm just changing two values, two text, and then we are moving the circle around. Let's say if I want to make it as a, let's put it a little higher, 20. And make it even smaller. Yay! So this is like a power of variable. When we begin to make more complex drawings or complex code, this is a good way to organize your code. What did I miss? Remember, before closing the code window, make sure to annotate, right? So let's practice annotation here. Well, what I'm gonna do is do some brief explanation of what this code is about. Okay. Learning variables, right? This code is an example to understand fundamental of the concept variable. Line change, and just keep the basic code. Course is the top, Control X. Okay, nice. I'm gonna also put the date. It is April. Oops, April. No, let's say yeah, April 1st, 2025. By June. Pack. So these are the things that you can put in the processing, right? And it's okay to have a little bit longer line because later on when you have these code modules, you can briefly look at these and find what you need. So size, this is I think I don't need to write this, but let's see. Y is the center position of diameter of ellipse. First ellipse, second ellipse, third ellipse. Nice, right? Let's see. Run the code. Still works. Okay, so these are the type of annotation that I recommend you to start writing down as a habit, so that later on when you make very complex code, you'll be able to manage things in module, and that will save tons of time in production. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being with me with the variables.